Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting. Before we begin tonight, I would like to give this gift to Councillor Morgan. Come out here with me.
It's not on the agenda, we can't do this.
We'll make an addition.
Councillor Morgan is leaving us after 8 years, and we're really going to miss him, especially me, because he checks me and all my mistakes and tells me when it's 7 o'clock. And he always adjourns the agenda, so I'm going to really miss you, Mike. Thank you so much for your dedication to the town of High Level. I'd hug you, but
COVID.
yes, and they would talk about us. So thank you very much.
You're very
For those of you that do not know, Councillor Morgan has been with the town of High Level for 8 years, and he is not running in this election. So we wish him all the best in his retirement.
It's going to be amazing.
I bet it will be. All right, everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. There's one addition, and that is 18.6, and that will be on the movie. Is there any other additions?
Madam Mayor, there are no additions from administration.
Okay, thank you. Could I have someone adopt the agenda, please? Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. I'd like to welcome Sergeant Mike Burns to the podium, please, with his detachment report. Good evening once again.
Good evening, everybody. I dropped off my monthly report this morning to Clark, and he's had a chance to send it around. It was a quiet month for us, knock on wood. With COVID ramping up again, our calls for service are ramping up a little bit as well. We had I'd like to talk about the enhanced policing program. We started that in July and ran it until around September 3rd. And there was one weekend where we didn't use it at all because we had a homicide one weekend that we had to help out over in Fox. So we put our extra bodies on that for the weekend, but we built Fox, we didn't build the town. But anyway, from July until September 3rd, we basically, under that intoxicated persons, with the enhanced policing, we had 90 bookings. So average about 40, 45 a month. July was a little busier. August, they were starting to get the message, and by September, everybody knew. And as I said this morning, there with Chate, there with people going back to Chate after the flood and after everything dried up, our services went down a lot. We didn't have much after that when they all went back. We also filled up we have the crime reduction unit there. I believe you guys pay for one position there. We were down one position there with Constable Funk there. He got promoted to corporal and he got transferred to Rimbey in the central part of the province. We filled that with Constable Benning. Constable Benning was due to go out. Him and his spouse Maria, who's another officer, they were due to transfer in the spring. I made an advertisement for the position and I asked for a 2-year commitment. He's agreed to stay for the 2 years, and his spouse is going to stay as well, so that's good for us because we have people that a renewal of town, and it's gonna save us bringing extra people in.
It's always good when the spouse agrees to stay.
Happy wife, happy life. Anyway, with Luke going on to the crime reduction unit, they're back up to full strength again, 2 guys. They kind of run, they assist the patrol guys when they need to, but they kind of run on their own and kind of keep an eye on the drug situation and warrants and things like that. They conducted basically 35 traffic stops. He's only been up for about 2 weeks now, so. But so far, they've got 35 traffic stops, 14 tickets, 19 warnings. They sought out 7 individuals that had warrants on them and found them all. They laid 9 criminal code charges, ranging from authorized possession of a firearm to driving while prohibited. Some CSDA, some Controlled Drug and Substance Act charges were laid as well. They assisted the guys in general duty 7 times during the month of September, and they're monitoring 6 offenders under active program projects. And that's ongoing. And as far as the monthly report there, I'm sure everybody's had a chance to have a look at it. I wasn't here for some of this. I had a family illness there, I was away for 12 days. So. But I spoke with Dan, and Dan said it's been quiet. So. But do you guys have any questions for me in regards to the monthly report?
Is there any questions?
No? Okay.
Seems quiet to us as well.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah.
No news is good news.
No questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just would like to add to that. I mean, it has been quiet, and I also appreciate seeing the members patrol the town, different parts as you're out and about, and even in the smaller remote areas there, I see them driving around over where I live, so do appreciate that, and it's noticeable, so, yeah.
Pass it on to the guys and
Yeah.
girls. If you guys have any questions about it, please have my phone number. Just
Okay.
call me. All right.
We will. Thank you very much.
Put this thing on.
Under 6.1 is the approval of the September 27th regular council meeting. If there's no errors or omissions. Deputy Mayor, all in favor? Carried. Somebody want to move the RCMP report? Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. You had before me, my mayor's report. Unfortunately, there were some deaths in the community of Bushy and Châté. So our friendship signing did not go ahead as scheduled. Hopefully we'll get a day next week or the following week. Banner of Remembrance, I think there's a difference between my report and the
administrative report?
operations report, because I had 16 banners, there says 17, so. And once again, we will have an unveiling of the banners, virtually probably. We decided that we would hang them again to let the families come and observe. The banners are going on our Facebook page starting 16 days before, if it's 17 days before November 11th. So the 26th of October, we will be having one banner per day, I believe it is. Yeah, and then pretty much everything is Golden Range Society had a very generous golf and country club donation from Ruthie Steinhauer and the golf the Golf Country Club, a donation of $8,422 from the Elston Memorial Golf Tournament, so that was well received, as the seniors have not been able to do very much fundraising this year. And that's my report. Any questions? If not, could someone move it, please?
So moved.
Councillor Morgan, all in favor? Carried. Deputy Mayor.
October 5th, I attended Ready Executive meeting, and October 6th, the high-level Dene partnership meeting. That's it. I'd like to pass on, I guess, best wishes or congratulations for Councillor Jessman's council initiative on the weekend. It was, I think, a very great thing. And good luck to everyone running on Monday in the election.
Yes, good luck.
That's it.
I was going to say kind things about Councillor Anderson. He showed up. Councillor Anderson.
So on September 27th, I attended a transportation meeting. Again, still the same thing, they are looking for drivers. The van has been reasonably busy, I think, steady. There is COVID protocol, obviously. And on September 28th, an IMPC meeting, which was over a sign that's going out to the east for a restaurant that's being put out there. So I'm assuming it's at the
Dairy Queen.
yeah.
An advertising sign for the Dairy Queen.
East where?
But it's going east of town.
But it's going on someone's property.
Yes,
Oh,
and that's all I have.
okay. Thank you. Councillor Jessamine.
I have nothing to report at this time, but I would like to say glad to see Mr. Anderson here tonight, which is good, and yeah, I wish everybody the best of luck on next week's election as well. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councillor Morgan, your last report.
Last report. September 28th, I also attended the IMPC meeting. It took us 4 minutes, it was awesome. September 29th, I attended the Northwest Species at Risk meeting where we got a summary of the expenses of the state of the region report, and we reviewed our current projects that are ongoing within the region and had some conversation around that. And September 29th in the evening, I attended a high-level municipal library board meeting. The library's still open for business under COVID rules, and it's still fairly busy.
I would like to add to your Northwest SAR report, because I forgot to say that those cameras have been finding that the caribou are hanging out in the burned areas. That's where the highest number of caribou are, after we've been told that they don't hang there. What was there, 147?
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting news to us.
Well, just to clarify that burn area, up in the Caribou's, correct? Yes, that's where the
It was either caribou or down in Manning area.
Okay. No, I know the Caribou area, it has such a huge fire history up there that there's so many burns that have been, with a number of years, they're fairly old, some of them, so yeah, it's really good habitat for them, and so whenever I fly up there, that's where we do tend to see them.
Well, that's where we saw them in that, when we flew with helicopter too. But all the caribou experts say they won't go into burned areas. So, anyways, that's very, very good news, because we have a lot of burned area.
We do.
Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Councillor Welke?
Madam Mayor, I have no meetings to report tonight.
Okay, thank you. Could have someone move all the meetings and all the reports, please?
I'll move.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. The action light list. Who's given that report? Is there any questions from the council action?
I'll move for information.
Deputy Mayor moves for information. All in favor? Carried. The event listing. Any questions? Could I have someone move it, please?
I'll move it.
Councillor Anderson, all in favor? Carried. The monthly report from council.
Madam Mayor, it's there. If council has any questions, we'll do our best to answer. As you notice, we're a little short on senior administration this evening. I did want to add one thing to my report, and that's on the Boreal Housing Foundation. And although it's an October thing, we did receive the minister order today that officially transfers the Heimstead Lodge to the Creek Municipal Nursing Association and removes the members from the Creek Municipal Nursing Association from the Boreal Housing Board. So and that is effective upon signing. So
October 8th. I have a question on the burner funding. Where is that at? Have we had any?
Madam Mayor, we've had that go back and forth between ourselves and Alberta Environment several times. We put in the initial application to use the burner variance fund as council suggested on the multi-purpose facility. We wrote in an application after having a conversation with representatives of Alberta Environment that outlined why we felt, or why council felt that that was a good project because of the energy efficiency designed into the new facility as well as the environmental aspects of it. They came back and asked for us to clarify a number of points. We resubmitted a 5-page document that Director Rolfe did along with our architect that put more detail into those aspects that they asked for. They came back again and asked for further clarification on the aspects of the building that we were claiming to be energy efficient. Director Rolfe and the architect again put together an explanation, sent it back to Alberta Environment. Alberta Environment came back a third time and essentially asked us to design a facility without the energy efficiency so they could compare the cost to the facility as designed, and I declined to do so. So I've sent it back to Alberta Environment and said we're asking for them to make a decision based on the information that they have been provided.
And you haven't heard?
No. We will be working to have the mayor, seeing as the mayor is acclaimed, we don't necessarily have to wait for the election, and have her make contact with Minister Nixon's office. We believe it's going to have to go that route.
Right. Yes.
I have a question while Director Straub isn't here tonight. I don't know.
I'll try.
Yes, so I was just curious about the road. I imagine the road maintenance program is coming to an end here fairly quickly, but I saw the staff out last week patching that nasty hole over on that would be the south side of Highway 58.
Oh, at Gateway Boulevard?
Yeah, and they were using coal patch for it. I was just wondering, I'm curious about the new machine that we got. Is that designed to fill such a hole that size? Or?
It should fill holes of any size. I'll have to check into the decision to use coal patch on that. You'll notice there's been some of the deeper holes or rougher patches along Rainbow Boulevard. The new patching machine was used there, and it actually levels things out pretty nicely. And they were trying to hit the deeper holes in town. Although we recognize there are a number of rough patches, we wanted to get the deeper holes before winter. I will follow up on that.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Are we going to do any paving next year?
Actually, You get to
Because
talk about
man,
that
we
in
have
your-
some roads that
In
need,
your planning.
yes. But actually do them.
There are a number of projects that have been pushed over to next year because of issues with engineering, and some of it is just contractors being available to us as well.
Because even though they did do some of that paving over there, it's still really rough. I think that road is so used that,
So, Madam Mayor, and actually, there's really no reason, it's in your planning document. There are 3 roads that Mr. Straub is suggesting we at least do preliminary engineering on for complete replacement. And just give me 1 second.
well, that's okay, I can wait till the budget.
Okay, but just for the council's, or just for the public's information, we're looking at 3 roads which you identified as probably the most needy. This does not include the Resource Road, which is 114th Avenue and 92nd Street. That's still on your books as well. The 3 that he would like to review are 103rd Street from 101st Avenue to 105th Avenue. So that's coming straight south of Super A toward the town hall. Rainbow Boulevard from the swale across Chinchaga Drive up to essentially Mobile, the gas station corner, just past and just to the east of it. And then 100th Avenue on the north side from 100th Street to 102nd. So that would be from Mondo past the provincial loop. So those are the 3 that he's suggesting he'd like to do preliminary engineering.
So preliminary engineering means not paid next year.
Oh, no, we do that over the winter. Council would see what our budget, or what we can afford within our budget, and set priorities on the projects.
I have another question to finance. The 22 budget, pre-planning, I think it's your second paragraph, to write user-friendly reporting.
So currently we use a budgeting program, Questica, that works with our accounting software. And in previous budgeting processes, only certain parts of reports were used and it wasn't utilized to its full potential, and we pay for this program in conjunction with Diamond. So I've sat down with their report writers and consultants to get them to write our monthly reports to council, where it's just a click of a button and it's easy for the directors to go in and retrieve their reports and the information that they need, instead of waiting on me or administration to look into certain accounts. So it's my second session with them, and it's been good because a lot of our structures in our budgeting program, it was half in Excel, half in Questica, and then half, it was a cut and paste just to get the reports to council and to the directors. So this way we can utilize our budgeting program, plus it brings in our actuals and just gives us another reporting program that we can bring into Excel, and directors and managers have access to it. And it's also good that we're going to be putting in all our new capital projects in there, so we can pull various reports for projects. It'll be nice for the directors to, instead of asking finance, like where are we sitting, it would just be at a click of a button for them. It's just we haven't utilized the program to its fullest potential.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions from council? Could I have someone move the monthly report, please? Councillor Jessamine. All in favor? Carried. Old business. Is the memorandum of understanding between the town of High Level and Northwest Species?
I believe Ms. Gavin is online.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Perfect.
You found your way off the mountain.
I did. I'm actually in Grand Prairie tonight. I came out the bush for this. So we have an RFD in front of us. We met, so NWSAR committee met on the 29th of September. And the resolution that was passed by the committee was to ask the town of High Level if we could extend the current MOU between the town and the committee, which retains the currently assigned employee, aka me, under Section 2 of admin support until the end of the year, so December 31st. I agreed that I was prepared to do that. So this recommendation would basically not change anything on the MOU until January 1st, I guess. So this would buy the committee some time to look at other admin support options. And then we could continue with negotiation between administration and the committee to come up with changes to the MOU, which includes the financial. But for now, nothing would change until December 31st.
Any questions, council? Yes.
So was there a discussion about what NWSAR is going to do moving forward, or what the other municipal members' commitment to the project is?
They're going to come, we're holding a special meeting on the 14th because, I mean, they were blindsided, so they need to talk to their respective administrations and people to see what, so they're coming back with options.
Options for administration or options for continuing on?
Administrative options. We're meeting on Thursday, on October 14th, and each of the members are going to come back with some admin options. Mackenzie County is definitely looking at what capacity they can provide, but the other municipalities are going to take a look as well. The committee did approve another year of wildlife monitoring, and they do have enough budget to continue, so they would like to still continue with their administrative support. So yeah, I guess we'll see on Thursday what the options are.
Do you mean continue on with the Northwest SAR?
Yes, because I thought
Yes.
that there was one municipality that's had their current membership outstanding.
No, they paid it.
Okay.
There was a...
We received an email from their CIO a couple of weeks ago that they would send a check in the next run, and they did.
Somehow there was a misunderstanding, I don't know what it was. But all the municipalities are in for next year for 2022, including us.
Okay. Sorry, that's the discussion. I thought that was the discussion that was going to happen on the 29th.
On the 29th of what?
September, the one you just had.
Well, we did discuss it. All the other municipalities are in.
Okay.
And I said we would have this discussion at this meeting. And we did have a resolution that we would pay 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to have that discussion right now?
Well, I thought at the last meeting that we had discussed, what useful work NWSAR was going to be doing going forward, and whether the town was prepared to commit the last $50,000.
Well, I think the useful work that we have going forward is collecting another year of data to compare with the prior data. We were going to have a presentation so we could show you everything we did. I don't know what happened to that.
We
Haley?
couldn't get that scheduled for tonight, so we're aiming for after the new council is in. And then I did ask ABMI if they could provide a presentation similar to the one that we received at the last meeting that goes into depth on the results, because there were some interesting outcomes, as you mentioned during your report earlier. So yeah, there is definitely a presentation pending, so we'll likely have it at the next council meeting, which I suggested in my RFD may be the better time to discuss this. So for under this resolution, nothing would change for the foreseeable, and then we could discuss the 3-year commitment at the next meeting following the presentation.
So we are advancing on buying more equipment though, Haley, right?
Yeah, so the committee did pass a resolution to purchase new SD cards and batteries. The northern grid in Caribou Mountains hasn't been deployed in the last 2 years, but we already have all the equipment for that range, that grid. So that will be deployed for 1 year of monitoring, and then we are moving forward purchasing SD cards and batteries for the other 5 grids for 1 more year. And then in 2022/23, the trappers will collect the devices.
What?
I guess at the end of the day, we committed to the 2022 originally. It would look, I'm just curious, and I mentioned this the last time, with the caribous, I mean, the Bistu caribou plan is actually, they're working with it now with the forest companies and planning in that, within that. So I'm just curious about the long term, like where this is all going to play out and what the end game is going to be for this committee. Like, what are they trying to do? Like right now, as I mentioned, they're already working on certain caribou plans with industry to start moving forward with. So.
And Northwest SAR had a person at that table.
Right.
On the Bistu, and we do again in Chinchaga. So we are at the table, and some of the things that we wanted are being enacted in Bistu.
Right. Like, so, but again, at the end of, like with the foresters, originally the concern was how it was negatively going to impact industry. I'm just, how we, I guess, going forward, how do we counter that? Like, I think industry is, they're actually working with it, and I don't see the long-term negativity against industry as we go forward. So I'm just,
I don't quite get what you mean.
I guess what's going to be the gain from what STARS is going to, what is the end game that they're going to try to come up with?
With data to show where the caribou are and where the predators are, I mean, we did some ground truthing. We found out that it is 95%. Like we had this huge discussion amongst 1,500 people saying that things weren't as disturbed as they were in Bistu.
Right.
So we hired ABMI to do work in Bistu, and we found out as a group that it is disturbed to 95%. So I guess, you know, and then the work that we did at the table with the Bistu task force was to come up with ways to lessen that. And right now we're waiting, we just sent a letter to Nixon about roads and access. And so, I mean, we're still actively working on that stuff, but then we were collecting data in ranges in the Caribou and in Chinchaga. And that data will be fed into the government's data, because we are working with ABMI, which is a renowned group. It's not like we're out there just setting cameras willy-nilly.
No, I know that. But again, at the caribou range, there's really no harvesting up there, so we know the caribou are there. So I'm just.
Well, protection of the caribou is one of the things that we're looking at.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know what more you want me to say. I know there's no reaction from industry anymore. Probably because they're pulling out of Bistu and there's not a lot of forest harvesting up there.
When all this started, there was a huge uproar that mills were shutting, people were going to lose their jobs, but there's none of that. They're continuing.
Yeah, but they never took 1.8 million hectares of land either because of our work. Correct?
I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, the areas that were allocated Originally, there's been some adjustments to that, but I wouldn't know the exact number for that.
But under the report, it was 1.8 million blanket no-go zones. Like, they're even talking about taking the moratoriums off on certain things up in Bish, you know.
Right, yeah.
So I mean, that's kind of the work that we've pushed for. A balance between caribou protection as well as people working, and we all know that oil and gas is left there. That's why there's not as much kickback on it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day,
Haley, you want to add anything?
Sorry, I just had to unmute. Councillor Jessman's not incorrect about how the committee started. For sure, it was in response to the government's plan back in 2016. I think now the direction's definitely changed. The goals that the committee have are to contribute to government research. As Mayor McTeer mentioned, the committee is on task forces, and I have uploaded several I don't know, reports or work that we have done that's contributed for consideration in the planning work. So, I mean, ABMI, they do provide the human footprint for the province, and our group was the first to provide them the opportunity to go out and ground truth their own data. And as Mayor McTeer pointed out, we did find that it was on average about 93% accurate. So I do believe that the work that the group has done is good. The initial commitment was for 3 years. As we mentioned in the last meeting, having 1 year of data isn't really sufficient. There were some interesting questions raised through the data that was collected, and also not to forget that this research is part of a much larger study that goes into Northeast Alberta and into Saskatchewan. So there are differences among the data that's been collected that is interesting to further pursue. So yeah, perhaps having a presentation from ABMI might be more useful to this discussion. I'm not sure.
I get it. We started as a dumpster fire as a reaction to that report. If we would have not done anything, what state will we be in now? I don't know. I can't say. But the information that we're gathering is valuable information that's going to be fed into the government data banks, and without us doing it, they wouldn't be doing it.
yeah, I guess, and we've talked about this before with municipalities doing work on behalf of the government of Alberta.
I know.
It's frustrating.
I know we do policing on behalf of the government. We do social work on behalf of the government. We recruit doctors on behalf. But if we don't do them, are we just going to lay down in the north and not do anything? That's kind of where our group went, is we need this data. They don't have any updated data.
So I guess the other question for me coming out of this, and I'm not disputing the job that NWSR did and the reason that it started, but we heard at the last meeting that I think they have over $300,000 cash on hand. And I guess my question is whether any municipality has to make a contribution for 2022 to finish up this last data that they're looking to collect.
Who told you they had 300,000 cash on? We're still paying bills too, though.
Haley said there was over $300,000 cash in the bank, and said I think there was about $100,000 in payables is my recollection.
Well, you know what? We're not collecting money from the municipalities just to bank it. That money is going to be spent, and what's not spent will be returned to the municipalities. We made a 3-year commitment. You made the resolution.
Not disputing.
And now to say, oh, well, we'll leave the other communities hanging is...
I'm not saying that whatsoever. I'm saying that perhaps no community needs to make the contribution
We
next
do.
year. If there was a 3-year plan and it was completed in 2 years?
It's not complete.
So how many municipal members are there?
There are, I can't tell you off the top of my head. Haley, you could probably.
There's 5 voting members, each that pay 50,000 in every year. And at one point, we had 10 or 11 associated member municipalities that paid in 1,000 each year. But we've had, I think, 2 drop out this year. So we're down to 9 associates and then 5 voting.
So Haley, with everybody's 50,000 contribution this year, and I know you can't do the work in your head because you just come out of the bush, but do we need that money from each municipality?
Well, our terms of reference, we have a financial terms of reference as well, that any money that isn't spent, as you mentioned, would be divided back up between the municipalities at equal proportion that it was contributed. Difficult to say on exact numbers that we need. We have at least a year of invoices to come out. The Deputy Mayor is correct there at about 100. We could probably get away with somewhere between, if we do another year of monitoring and then device collection from the trappers, then that will work out to be somewhere between 60 and 70. And then another year of monitoring, we could probably get away with 75 or 80. So we may be able to do it. I just don't want to confidently say yes right now and then be wrong.
So I think these are things that we committed to with the other communities, and the other municipalities are still in. We're still gathering data from their areas. I just don't think it's a good look for the town to pull out after the commitment was there. We bought the equipment, we had ABMI come up, we have the trackers gathering the data and putting out the cameras and collecting the cards, and then not continue with it.
I'm not suggesting that we pull out, but I think the numbers that we just heard, I don't think it's gonna take $600,000 to complete
It's
the
not
project.
gonna be
Well,
600,000.
there's 350 in the bank and 250 next year is 600,000. We've just talked about paving programs that the town is like looking to do, and you know,
50,000 isn't gonna pay very far. I just, I don't think that the town pulls out at this point, and you may get $20,000 back.
If none of the other municipalities put money in as well, we should reduce NWSAR's budget by 50,000, because that would belong to Mackenzie County, because they put in 3 years in 2019.
so could the report that's coming to the new council include a complete financial breakdown of what's in the bank, what expenses are anticipated for the next year, and what money may be needed from the individual member municipalities?
Absolutely.
What? I think this is absolutely bad for us. And if we're going to start doing this, what other municipality is going to want to work with us in the future?
I am not suggesting that we are backing out. I'm suggesting that this information likely goes to all municipalities. If no further funds are needed to complete this, then no one has to commit the money.
So if we have a totally different council come next week or the week after, who is going to be up to speed on what is Northwest SAR has done and has in the bank and the promises they made to other municipalities?
That's why administration is going to give that information, and it's up to the new council. If we don't have the information today to make that decision, then it's up to the new council.
So are we going to make a motion to move with Haley staying on to December?
I'll make the motion that the council grant an extension under alternative number 1.
And all in favor? And I would like a motion whether that stands or not? I'd like a motion.
What stands or?
What this, whether the town is committed to 50,000, because I want to take it to my meeting on the 14th. Well, it's what you want.
I
So-
thought I had asked for a budget to come back with,
I don't think
administration
this
giving us-
is something that should be left over to a new council, is my, yes.
Listening to all this bantering that's going on, I don't think that we can make a decision until we have the budget, which means that the new council will actually be doing, making that motion as to whether we extend our funding. But we are committed till 2022. So if we were to make a motion, we would then be rescinding that, but we are already committed. I understand Councillor Langford's concern. I have that same concern, is that if they have ample money to complete their whole program, why are communities still committing? But committing financially, they're committing the wherefore to finish the deal. But if there's money there already, then why are they continuing to just keep funding it, even though it may come back to us in the future? But I don't think we can make a decision on that until we get that financial report, and that's not going to happen tonight, so that's going to be in the new council. So I don't know how we can make a motion to carry on without all the numbers. That's my feeling. We can do this motion with Haley and administration. That's simple. But the other one, I'm not sure without, as a council, how we can even rescind what we're doing without financial.
Well, we can't rescind, we committed, there's a resolution.
Well, we can change the resolution.
Yes, we can. We can.
So I'm not sure why there would be any motion needed, so.
Well, I guess because Northwest SAR is looking for some sort of commitment.
They have a commitment until 2022.
No, they don't. We're trying to either pull it or,
We're not, no, that's council.
that's his vote, that's what he
He has not
wants.
said that. So I don't think that we need a motion to go any further than where we are right now.
You two have anything to say?
I do think that is the road we're going down, we're looking at this and we're saying, are we going to stroke that check for $50,000 or are we not? And while I think that's a fair question, I agree with the mayor. We've committed to that funding for the 2022 period, and I think we should pay that funding. And I understand what Haley's saying, is she would rather have that money in the bank and then return that money to the municipalities rather than not have that money and have to come back to the other municipalities and say, look, I need an extra X for that to complete the work, right?
I totally agree with you. I'm not being the devil's advocate here. We have committed till 2022.
But that's what we're discussing is 2022.
Right, so pay the bill.
But that's not what the deputy mayor is saying. He's saying, let's get a budget to see if we
So
actually have to pay that.
So Boyd,
fee.
are you prepared to make a motion to rescind the resolution for the town of Highland?
No, because we don't have the information to make that decision.
So you're putting words in his mouth.
I've never said that we.
Terry, do you have anything to say?
I can see both sides. I mean, I don't see the need to continue building if we don't need it, so I'm leaning more towards getting the budget and then making a decision with the new council.
So Haley, can you have a budget by next week?
Depending which day, yes. One comment I would like to make, perhaps I haven't done a very good job at making that or highlighting the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic impact on the committee. We did have a few conferences to attend in 2020 and expected travel expenses that obviously never occurred because of COVID. So that is likely the reason why the remaining operating budget is as large as it is. It was never the intention for it to be sitting that large right now, but yes, absolutely, I can get that information together for next week.
Okay. Jan, do you have anything to say?
I just don't think we should worry about this at this moment. It seems that this is twice now that this funding issue has come up right in the middle of sort of a request for decision on, the same topic, but not this budget aspect. We're committed, we'll pay the bill. There's nothing wrong with looking at the budget closely as a specific topic in a future meeting where we decide collectively with the other municipalities of how much money does this project need. But at the moment, we're committed to pay it. So I think we should just leave things as is. And then if we get money back, we get money back. But Haley brought up a good point too. There might be a lot higher expenses coming up if conferences and travel get reintroduced back into the program. So I say we just leave it as is. We made a commitment. I don't think we need another motion to recommit. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, so Haley will bring a budget. The reason I'm pushing this council is because we set up a separate meeting of our committee to discuss whether the high level was going to be in or out. And that meeting is on the 14th. So I guess we're halfway in. I don't know.
Madam Mayor, I think that you can tell them that we're in, and there's nothing wrong with having this budgetary discussion where all the municipalities look at it. It's not so much a matter of pulling out of a project. It's just whether or not the project needs that money, and that would apply to everyone. It's a valid thing to talk about. It does seem like there's a lot of money in the bank, so it's worth exploring whether or not the funds that were initially thought to be required are still required, but not that we're pulling out of the project.
Yeah, I get everybody's point, but there are still bills to be paid. It's not just that 300,000 that we're still paying bills on that. Is the state of the region out of that, Haley?
Yes, we don't owe any more funds on that project as of yet.
Okay, so if you could have that budget to us by the 14th, that'd be great. So we can discuss it as all municipalities.
14th is Thursday.
Yeah, that's when our meeting is.
I thought she said it would take her till sometime next week. Or you asked until next week?
Did I not say?
Sorry, I can provide it for the next town high level council meeting. If we need something for Thursday, we can ask Director Phillips to put something together for us if she doesn't mind.
Because the other communities are going to want to know what bills have to be paid, how much is left, and what's projected with the cameras and everything, so that we can decide whether we're committing 50,000 or 20,000 or.
To get into that level of detail, it'll have to wait till the next meeting. So I don't have an updated quote from ABMI yet. They're going to send me a new draft agreement with projected cost, and the same for the trappers as well.
So when will you have those?
Definitely for the next town high level council meeting. And obviously for the next NWSR one, which is the 18th of November, I believe, after Thursday.
We have nothing for the 14th then?
Not in terms of projected costs. There's only 2 agenda items on that meeting, and it's basically the results of this RFD, so whether they are retaining the current administration or not until December. And then the second one is all of the administrative options that each of the committee members are bringing forwards.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. On to new business. The RFD for the school bus signs.
Mrs. Gavin will also take that issue as well.
Yes, it's me again. So on the 27th of December, there was a resolution passed that approved the signage permit for the school bus stops after a period of consultation. And after our email that went to council last week about approving the installation of the signs in conjunction with public engagement, and then of course the public appeal period as well, we just felt that the resolution didn't really capture council's intent. So we've provided an alternative to amend resolution 352-21 to be approving a temporary development permit for the school division bus stops with a November 30th expiry date. And this would run in conjunction with public engagement and then a permit appeal period. So I have provided just a short little bullet point list of how we intend to move forward on this, or how, in fact, actually how we are. So we did issue a temporary development permit on October 5th. And then the permit was advertised on the 6th of October, and the engagement period is open from the 6th to the 10th. So that's 5 weeks that we're providing. And then the appeal date is the day before public engagement ends. So if somebody wanted to file an appeal, pay the $100 to appeal the temporary permit, they could. And then for council's review on November 15th, we will put together all the public engagement that we have received about the bus stops and the bus stop signage, locations, any issues for the committee of whole meeting. And then we intend for, after the rise and report from the committee of whole, so November 23rd, if we were issuing a permanent permit for the bus stops with just the signage. The school division at the moment, as far as I'm aware, would like to install bus shelters, but that would be next spring if they get to that. And we have communicated with them that that would be a separate permit process. So we'd likely go through the same thing again.
Any questions? Yes.
So as part of the public engagement, are we going to do an open house? Are we going to have a public hearing?
We haven't done that, no. So we've put out some advertisements on social media and the newspaper. And then we have sent out I think it's 200 or 202 adjacent landowner notifications. So the package that went out to the adjacent landowners is in your package that just provides location and then a brief bit of information, the temporary permit, and the same for the newspaper and the social media. Our intent there is to have anybody with concerns or anybody that's in favour to contact the development department, and we can talk through with them. I guess how this came about, because we've had quite a few questions about that, bus stop locations, signage, whether there are going to be shelters, those types of things. So we have been getting a few phone calls. So our intent is to have a chat with folks and then compile all of our information and present to council on the 15th of November.
Madam Mayor, if I can just elaborate on that. Generally, it is the proponents require, if there is an open house, it's the individual who is bringing forward the development permit, very similar to the land use bylaw change that the social housing wanted down on 103rd. They held all of those open houses.
So the school division should be holding the open houses, not the town of High Level.
Yes.
We have had a couple of questions about why the town is advertising this, but we've been pretty clear that we've issued a temporary development permit, and this isn't usual run-of-the-mill permit for us. So that's why we've gone above and beyond to collect public feedback and given adjacent landowners an extra couple of weeks to get in contact with us and file an appeal if they wish.
Do we know if the school division has sent out questionnaires or whatever to affected families for students that are going to be potentially using this service?
I believe there was some correspondence that went out, but CIO McCaskill's probably better to answer that question than I.
Madam Mayor, I believe that the school division did communicate with the parents who were interested in the busing process, and I'm not certain to what extent there was. My understanding is they did mention bus stops when they were signing up for that, but of course at that point in time there was no information that went along with that other than bus stops. The superintendent did have an article in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago, sort of outlining as to why the school division has made this choice. Other than that, I'm not certain what the conversation has been or the extent of the conversation with the public on this decision.
I think they're just phoning all former people that were on the buses and telling them where they have to get on the bus.
Well,
Because Melissa got a call and Hayden's not even signed up for the bus.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because his bus driver phoned and said where he should be, to catch the bus. He used to get on the bus at the babysitter as well. He's not going to go across town to get on the bus.
The feedback that I've heard is that from some parents that are paying for the bus service, and now that they know where the locations are, that some of them are thinking that in really cold weather that they're going to have to drive their child 2.5 or 3 blocks to wait for the bus because you're not going to let someone who's 5 or 6 go on their own. So I just wasn't sure what kind of consultation the school division had done with people that are actually paying for the service.
That feedback's on our website, so on our Facebook page.
Our concern as a town, and I don't mean to belittle individuals' concerns, is planning related. Are these the best locations? What's our traffic flows? Is it going to cause congestion? Is there pedestrian pathways to those sites? That type of thing. Personal preference or inconvenience will not factor into the information we give to council. That doesn't preclude council from using that to make a decision, but that won't be administrator's point of view. I don't disagree that I believe the school division should be communicating better on this issue, but that is, of course, their choice to do so.
So what's council's wish? Do you want to provide a temporary permit?
We already did. Didn't we?
No.
Well,
we
the
did,
word
but
temporary was not included in your original motion.
It's
It was a
temporary. This
What we're
one's
suggesting
temporary
is
till
we-
November 23rd.
The 30th. And then we bring everything
30th.
back to council for review with committee of the whole in November.
No? Nobody wants to make that motion?
It was Councillor Morgan's motion to begin with, but I'll move the recommendation.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Next time, temporary.
There won't be a next time.
Correspondence for information. Anybody? Could I have someone move to accept it for information?
I'll move 15.1 and 15.2 for information.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Could I have someone move to move in camera?
I'll
Councillor Jessamine. So this will end our public portion of the meeting as council moves into in camera to discuss other things. Thank you for attending this evening.